Hello, viewers of the nation. My name is Haley Black. I'm going to get straight to it. I'm reading the Modern Real Estate Practice 20th edition, and I'm going to start with Unit 1. The unit is about 12 pages, and I'm also going to include the quiz. Real estate, a business of many specializations. Despite the size and complexity of the real estate business, many people think of it as a business of real estate brokers and real estate salespeople only. Actually, the real estate industry is much broader than that. Appraisal, property management, financing, subdivision and development, home inspection, counseling, and education are all separate businesses within the real estate field. To succeed in a complex industry, every real estate professional must have a basic knowledge of these specialized areas and how they impact the real estate industry. Brokerage. Brokerage is the business of bringing people together in a real estate transaction. A licensed real estate broker acts as a point of contact between two or more people in negotiating the sale, purchase, or rental of a property. Brokerage. Brokerage is the business of bringing people together in a real estate transaction. A licensed real estate broker acts as a point of contact between two or more people in negotiating the sale, purchase, or rental of a property. A broker is defined as a person or company licensed to buy, sell, exchange, or lease real estate property for others and to charge a fee for these services. A licensed real estate salesperson is employed by or associated with the broker to perform brokerage activities on behalf of or for the broker. It may also be referred to as a sales associate or associate licensee. A real estate licensee is a person who has satisfied the requirements of a licensing agency as authorized by state legislation. The requirements typically include course hours or work experience and passing a state-mandated real estate exam. In some states, every real estate licensee is a broker, but only a managing broker may employ other licensees to act as sales associates, and the managing broker is responsible for the sales associate's conduct. Check the laws in your state to learn the terms used for licensees and the requirements for obtaining a license. Appraisal. Appraisal is the process of developing an opinion of a property's market value based on established methods in the appraiser's professional judgment. Although brokers should have some understanding of the valuation process, in some circumstances may even be asked to estimate the price at which a property is likely to sell. Lenders require a professional appraisal for most transactions. Appraisers must have detailed knowledge of the methods of valuation. Appraisers must be not only licensed or certified for many federal-related transactions, but also licensed or certified in many states to be involved in transactions that are not federally related. The Appraisal Institute, www.appraisalinstitute.org, is the largest trade association of real estate appraisers. Property management. A property manager is a person or company hired to maintain and manage property on behalf of the property owner. By hiring a property manager, the owner is relieved of day-to-day management tasks such as finding new tenants, collecting rents, finishing or altering space for tenants, ordering repairs, and generally maintaining the property. The scope of the manager's work depends on the terms of the management agreement, the employment contract between the owner and the manager. Whatever tasks are specified, the basic responsibility of the property manager is to protect the owner's investment and maximize the return on that investment. Depending on the size of the property and/or the scope of the work required, the property manager may need a real estate license or property management license that is issued by the state in which the property is located. The Building Owners and Managers Association International, www.boma.org, provides useful resources for both owners and managers. Financing. Financing is the business of providing the funds that make real estate transactions possible. Most sales are financed by a loan that is secured by a mortgage or deed of trust on the property purchased. Individuals involved in financing real estate work may work in commercial banks, thrifts, which include savings associations, and credit unions, as well as mortgage banking and mortgage brokerage companies. Federal law requires mortgage loan originators to qualify. Federal law requires mortgage loan originators to qualify for the nationwide multi-state licensing system and registry (NMLS), found at https nationwidelicensingssystems.org. Subdivision and development. Subdivision is the dividing of a single property into smaller parcels. Development includes preparation of a site and construction of structures or other improvements. These improvements may be either on-site or off-site. Off-site improvements such as water lines and storm sewers are made on public lands to serve the new development. On-site improvements such as new homes or recreational amenities are made on individual parcels. While subdivision and development normally are related, they are independent processes that can occur separately. Home inspection. Home inspection is a profession that combines a practitioner's interest in real estate with skills and training in the construction trades. Many states have recognized the importance of a thorough home inspection by a competent, well-trained inspector by instituting home inspector licensing requirements that include education, training, examination, and ongoing coursework. The American Society of Home Inspectors, www.homeinspector.org, is a trade group for home inspection professionals. A professional home inspector conducts a thorough visual survey of a property structure, systems, and site conditions, and prepares an analytical report that is valuable to both purchasers and the homeowners. The inspector examines the property from the chimney to the basement, being alert to deterioration, water intrusion, mechanical, or other observable problems. Often, the home inspection leads to a recommendation for additional examination when warranted by a property condition, such as evidence of mold damage or insect infestation. Cautious consumers, especially those who live in states where caveat emptor, buyer beware, is the law, and relying more and more on the inspector's report to help them make the purchase decisions. Frequently, a real estate sales contract will be contingent, which means conditioned, upon the inspector's report. Counseling. Counseling involves providing clients with competent, independent advice based on sound professional judgment. A real estate counselor helps clients choose among the various alternatives involved in purchasing, leasing, using, or investing in property. A counselor's role is to furnish clients with the information needed to make informed decisions. Professional real estate counselors must have a high degree of industry expertise. Education. Real estate education is available to both practitioners and consumers. Colleges and universities, private schools, and trade organizations all conduct real estate courses and seminars covering topics from the principles of pre-licensing programs to the technical aspects of tax and exchange law. State licensing laws establish the minimum education requirements for obtaining and keeping a real estate license. Continuing education, usually required for license renewal, helps ensure that licensees keep their skills and knowledge current. Other areas. Many other professionals are involved in real estate, including lawyers who specialize in this area of practice, land use planners employed by state and local agencies, and tax assessors. Types of real property. Just as there are specialization within the real estate industry, there are different types of property in which to specialize. Real estate can be classified as residential, all property used for a single family or multifamily housing, whether in urban, suburban, or rural areas. Commercial, business property, including office space, shopping centers, stores, theaters, hotels, and parking facilities. Mixed use, property that allows for two or more commercial and residential uses in the same building. Industrial, warehouses, factories, land in industrial districts, and power plants. Agricultural, farms, timberlands, ranchers, and orchards. Or special purpose, privately owned properties such as places of worship, schools, and cemeteries, as well as publicly held properties such as schools, municipal service buildings, and parks. The market for each type of real property can be divided into three main functions: buying, selling, and leasing. Remember, the most common property type of real estate transaction is the purchase of a home or residential property. We will mainly focus on residential transactions, but other types of property transactions are mentioned as well. Residential property. People buy homes for a variety of reasons. To many people, home ownership is a sign of financial stability. A home is an investment that can appreciate in value, especially over many years of ownership. Even when a loan is necessary to be able to afford the purchase of a home, the interest paid on the loan may be a useful deduction from federal income tax. Home ownership also offers benefits that may be less tangible but no less valuable, such as pride, security, and a sense of belonging to a community. Financial constraints limit many people to leasing rather than buying a home. Some like the flexibility offered by a lease or the amenities offered by a housing development or neighborhood where renting is a viable alternative to a home purchase. Renting also means less initial financial commitment, making it possible to use the funds for business investment or other purposes. Types of housing. Some housing types are innovative uses of real estate while also incorporating various ownership concepts. These different forms of housing respond to the demand of a diverse marketplace. The single-family detached house has been one of the most popular housing styles, although it has been adapted in urban areas to take the form of the row house that may share a wall with an adjoining property. Often, multi-story residences in cities like New York and Chicago have one or more separate living units on each floor, offering the possibility of an owner-occupied building that also provides rental income. The apartment building was the response to housing demand in crowded urban areas. Modern high-rise structures can offer residents many amenities. In the suburbs, multifamily housing has taken advantage of greater availability of large tracts and affordable land. An apartment complex is made up of a group of apartment buildings with a varying number of units in each building. The buildings may be low-rise or high-rise, and the complex may include storage areas, laundry, and exercise facilities, parking, security, clubhouse, swimming pool, tennis court, and even a golf course. The condominium is a popular form of rental ownership, offering the security of owning property without the care and maintenance responsibilities of a house demands. It is also a popular ownership or rental option in areas which property values make single-family building ownership inaccessible to many people. A condominium owner owns an individual unit and also shares ownership with other unit owners of common facilities, which are called common elements, such as halls, elevators, reception area, laundry room, exercise room, main entrance security system, and surrounding grounds, which may include a swimming pool, clubhouse, tennis court, or other amenities. Management and maintenance of building exterior and common facilities are provided by a governing association, typically making use of a management company and outside contractors, with expenses paid out of monthly assessment charged to owners. While condos are often apartment-style homes, this ownership form includes the single-family and even commercial properties. A cooperative also has units that share common walls and facilities within a larger building. The owners do not own the units. Instead, each owner owns share in a corporation that holds title to the real estate. Each shareholder receives a proprietary lease to a specified unit in the building. Like condominium owners, cooperative shareholders pay their proportionate share of the building's expenses. Planned unit developments. Sometimes called master planned communities, might consist entirely of residences, but they also can serve to merge such diverse land uses such as housing, recreation, and commercial units into one self-contained development. PUDs are planned under special zoning ordinances. These ordinances often permit maximum use of open space by reducing lot sizes and street areas. Owners do not have direct ownership interest in the common areas. A community association is formed to maintain these areas with fees for expenses collected from the owners. A PUD may be a small development of just a few homes or an entire planned community. High-rise developments, sometimes called mixed-use developments, combine office space, stores, theaters, and apartments into single vertical community. MUDs, mixed-use developments, are usually self-contained and may offer restaurants, grocery stores, beauty parlors, barbershops, and other attractive and convenient features. Converted use properties are factories, warehouses, office buildings, hotels, schools, churches, and other structures that have been converted to residential use. Developers often find renovation of such property more aesthetically and economically pleasing than demolishing a perfectly sound structure to build something new. An abandoned warehouse may be transformed into a luxury loft condominium units. An out-of-date hotel may be renovated to create an apartment building. And an unused factory may be recycled into living and workspace for artists. Factory-built housing was once the often desired mobile home, the most temporary of residences. Today, what we are termed manufactured homes are permanent installations built to federal specifications, providing principal residences or vacation homes. The relatively low production cost of assembly line type construction in factories unaffected by the elements, coupled with the increased living space available in newer models, make such homes an attractive option for both manufacturers and buyers. Increased sales have resulted in growing numbers of manufactured home parks that offer complete residential environments with permanent community facilities as well as semi-permanent foundations and hookups for gas, water, and electricity. Another type of factory-built housing is the modular home with components that are assembled at a building site on a prepared foundation. Workers finish the structure and connect plumbing and wiring. Entire developments can be built at a fraction of time cost of a conventional stick-built construction. Fair housing. The decision to purchase or lease housing and where to do it should be based on an individual's preferences and finances. Too often, individuals have been denied the fair housing they prefer based on discriminating factors that should not be considered. Federal law prohibits discrimination in the provision of housing and housing-related services, including lending, based on an individual's race, color, national origin, religion, sex, familial status, or disability. The real estate market. A market exists when goods can be bought and sold. The function of a market is to provide a setting in which supply and demand can establish fair market value, making it advantageous for buyers and sellers to trade. Other considerations for home buying include the tax benefits of home ownership. Supply and demand. Prices for goods and services in the market are established by the operation of supply and demand. The supply is the quantity of goods or services that can be sold at a given price. In the real estate market, the supply is made up of residential and commercial land and structures. Demand refers to the quantity of goods or services that consumers are willing to buy at a given price. In the real estate market, the number of home buyers and businesses seeking to buy property can vary greatly depending on the general economic conditions. When supply and demand are roughly balanced, prices are stable and there is neither inflation, prices increasing, or deflation, prices decreasing. When supply increases and demand fails to increase commensurately, prices go down. When demand increases and supply fails to increase sufficiently to satisfy that demand, prices go up. Greater supply means producers need to attract more buyers, so they lower prices. Greater demand means producers can raise their prices because buyers compete for the product. Supply and demand in the real estate market. Two characteristics of the real estate govern the way the market reacts to the pressures of supply and demand. Uniqueness and immobility. Uniqueness means that no matter how identical they may appear, no two parcels of real estate are ever exactly alike. Each occupies its own unique geographic location. Immobility refers to the fact that property cannot be relocated to satisfy demand where supply is low, nor can buyers always relocate to areas with greater supply. For these reasons, real estate markets are local markets. Each geographic area has different types of real estate and different conditions that drive prices. In these well-defined areas, real estate offices can keep track of the type of property that are in demand, as well as the properties that are available to meet the demand. Because of real estate's uniqueness and immobility, the market generally adjusts slowly to the forces of supply and demand. Though a home offered for sale can be withdrawn in response to low demand and high supply, it is just as likely that oversupply will result in lower prices. When supply is low, on the other hand, high demand may not be met immediately because development and construction are lengthy processes. As a result, development tends to occur in uneven spurts of activity. Even when supply and demand can be forecast with some accuracy, natural disasters such as hurricanes and earthquakes can disrupt market trends. Similarly, why they got these words like this? Similarly, I know that word, but it just looks silly. Similarly, a sudden change in the national financial market, a local event such as a business closure or a regional disruption caused by storm damage can drastically disrupt a seemingly stable market. Factors affecting supply. Factors that tend to affect the supply side of the real estate market supply and demand focus include labor force availability, construction and material costs, and governmental controls and financial policies. Labor force, construction, and material costs. A shortage of skilled labor or building materials or an increase in the cost of materials can decrease the amount of new construction. High transfer costs such as taxes and construction permit fees can also discourage development. Increased construction costs may be passed along to buyers and tenants in the form of higher sale prices and increased rents that can further slow the market. Governmental controls and monetary policy. The government's monetary policy can have a substantial impact on the real estate market. The Federal Reserve Board, the FED, establishes a discount rate of interest for the money it lends to commercial banks. That discount rate has a direct impact on the interest rates the banks charge to borrowers, which in turn plays a significant part in people's ability to buy homes. The Federal Housing Administration, FHA, and the government's National Mortgage Association, Ginnie Mae, can also affect the amount of money available to lenders for mortgage loans. Even apart from financing concerns, virtually any government action has some effect on the real estate market. For instance, federal environment regulations may increase or decrease the federal environment regulations may increase or decrease the supply and value of land in a local market. The real estate taxation is one of the primary sources of revenue for local governments. Policies on taxation of real estate can have either positive or negative effects. While high taxes may deter investors, tax incentives may attract new businesses in industries that and bring increased employment and expanded residential real estate markets. Local governments also influence supply. Land use control, building codes, and zoning ordinance help shape the character of a community and control the use of land. Careful planning can help stabilize and even increase real estate values. Factors affecting demand. Factors that tend to affect the demand side of the real estate market include population, demographics, and employment and wage levels. Population. Because shelter is a basic human need, the demand for housing grows with the population. Although the total population of the country continues to rise, the demand for real estate increases faster in some areas than others. In some locations, growth has ceased altogether, or the population has declined. This may be due to economic changes such as businesses closing, social concerns such as the quality of schools or a desire for more open space, or population changes such as population shifts from colder to warmer climates. This result can be a drop in demand for real estate in one area, which may be matched with increased demand elsewhere. Demographics. The study and description of a population is called demographics. The population of a community is a major factor in determining the quantity and type of housing in that community. The number of occupants per household and their ages, the ratio of adults to children, the number of retirees, family income, and lifestyle are all demographic factors that contribute to the amount and type of housing needed. Employment and wage levels. Decisions about whether to buy or rent and how much to spend on housing are closely related to income. When job opportunities are scarce or wage levels low, demand for real estate usually drops. The market might, in fact, be affected drastically by a single major employer moving in or shutting down. Real estate professionals should stay informed about the business plans of local employers. As you have seen, the real estate market depends on a variety of economic forces, such as insurance rates and employment levels. To be successful, real estate professionals must follow economic trends and anticipate where those trends will lead. How people use their income depends on consumer confidence, which is based not only on perceived job security, but also on the availability of credit and the impact of inflation. General trends in the economy, such as availability of mortgage money and the rate of inflation, will introduce people's spending decisions. Financial considerations of the homeowner. Purchasing a home can offer financial advantages to a buyer, provided the marketplace cooperates. First, if the property's value increases, an eventual sale of the property might bring in more money than the owner's purchase price. Second, as the total mortgage debt is reduced through monthly payments that include part of the principal owed, the owner's actual ownership interest in the property increases. The difference between the market value of the property and the amount still owed on it is the homeowner's equity in the property. The equity can be borrowed against in the future or realized on a sale of a property. A homeowner's mortgage payments thus help to build personal net worth. The third financial advantage of home ownership may be the tax deductions available to the homeowner for mortgage interest and property tax, if those deductions total more than the amount of the applicable standard deduction. Finally, Part of the profit made on the sale of a principal residence is not taxed at all. Tax deductions. Homeowners may deduct from their gross income some or all of the mortgage interest paid up to a certain point. For mortgages taken out after December 14th, 2018, an individual may deduct off of debt up to $750,000. Loans in existence prior to that date are not affected as long as they are not over $1 million. If a loan was generated prior to that date and is refinanced, that interest is deductible as well, as long as the amount refinanced is not greater than the original loan amount. Finally, between January 1st, 2018 and December 31st, 2025, the interest on a second mortgage is no longer tax deductible. State and local real estate taxes can be used as an itemized deduction up to a limit of $10,000. Homeowners may also deduct certain loan origination fees and loan discount points. Other tax benefits. When a married couple who file a joint tax return sell a principal residence up to $500,000 in profit, sales price minus purchase price can be excluded from capital tax gains. A taxpayer who files singly is entitled to a $250,000 exclusion. The exclusion may be used repeatedly as long as the homeowner has both owned and occupied the property The exclusion may be used repeatedly as long as the homeowner has not both owned and occupied the property as the principal residence for at least 2 of the past 5 years. A first-time home buyer may make a penalty-free withdrawal from a tax-deferred individual retirement account, IRA, for the down payment on a home, although the withdrawal is not subject to income tax in that year. The limit on the withdrawal is $10,000, and the amount withdrawn must be spent entirely within 120 days on a down payment to avoid any penalty. Other tax incentives, such as a tax credit for part of the purchase price, also are offered by the federal government from time to time to encourage home buying. In addition, many states have their own programs meant to encourage home ownership. Real estate purchases purely for investment purposes, property that is not to be owner-occupied, offered their own tax and other incentives. Because tax laws are subject to change, real estate professionals should not recommend clients consult a competent tax professional for advice. Real estate investment. Real estate has always been an important part of an investment portfolio. As with any investment, real estate requires careful consideration of both its advantages and disadvantages. Advantages of real estate investment. Rate of return. Over time, say 10 to 20 years or more, a real estate investment typically shows an above average or even high rate of return. In some parts of the country, an impressive return can be received even after a relatively short period of ownership. In theory, this means that an investor can use borrowed money to finance a real estate purchase and feel relatively sure that the asset, if being held long enough, will return a profit. Even after accounting the cost to finance the purchase. Control. Real estate investments also offer immediate advantages. Real estate offers investors more control over their investment than other options, such as stocks, bonds, or other securities. Appreciation. Real estate is an avenue of investment open to those interested in holding property primarily for increasing value, known as appreciation. During a period of inflation, of course, the value of the property will rise, but so will the cost of maintaining the property. The intrinsic value of real estate is the result of individual choices and preferences given to a preferences for a given geographic area. Residential property in a pleasant neighborhood near employment, shopping, and amenities will tend to retain and increase in value. Commercial property located close to transportation, suppliers, and a source of employees will also tend to increase in value. Equity buildup. The amount invested in a property is the owner's equity. If the property is financed, the only equity at first is the amount paid as a down payment. As the owner pays the amount owed by regular payments, however, and if the payments include payment of part of the principal owed on the loan, that principal increases the owner's equity in the property. Appreciation too will result in equity buildup as the value of the property increases. Accumulated equity is not realized as cash unless a property is sold or refinanced. Equity may be lost if a property's value decreases due to economic conditions or a natural disaster, even if the property is not sold. Leverage. Leverage is the use of borrowed money to finance an investment. It can be a way to benefit from the potential or increased income from a relatively small initial outlay. As a rule, an investor can receive a maximum return from an initial investment by making a small down payment, paying a low interest rate, and spreading mortgage payments over as long a period as possible. The risk of an investment is directly proportional to the leverage. A high degree of leverage translates into a greater risk for the investor, as well as for the lender, because of the high ratio of borrowed money to the value of the property. Low leverage results in less risk. When property value drops for whatever reason, the highly leveraged investor may be unable to pay even the financing cost of the property. Tax benefits. Income tax laws change frequently, and some tax advantages of owning investment real estate are altered periodically by Congress. An investor can make a more educated and profitable real estate purchase with professional tax advice. The IRS is the best place to start for federal tax information. State and local taxing authorities offer different tax incentives and disincentives to investors, and information should be sought from those sources as well. The following are some of the current tax benefits available to investors. Depreciation or cost recovery allows an investor to recover the cost of an income-producing asset through tax reductions over the asset's useful life. Though investors rarely purchase property without expecting it to appreciate over time, land is not considered a depreciating asset. Capital gain is the difference between the purchase price of the property and its net selling price. A property's cost or basis determines the amount of gain to be taxed. The investor's initial cost of the property may be increased by physical improvements made to the property, claimed as tax deduction. Roll it back. The investor's initial cost of the property may be increased by physical improvements made to the property, which will add to the property's tax basis. On the other hand, the amount of any depreciation claimed as a tax deduction is subtracted from the basis, resulting in the property's adjusted basis for tax purposes. When the investor sells the property, the amount by which the sales price exceeds the property adjusted basis is the capital gain. One way to avoid federal taxation on a capital gain is to exchange the investment property for one of the same value. The tax that would have been owed if a sale had occurred is deferred until the property acquired in the exchange is sold. At present, there is no limit to the number of times that a property can be exchanged and tax deferred. There are strict rules governing property exchanges, and failure to comply with the rules can mean the loss of deferral. The law permitting tax deferred changes is also subject to change as Congress considers ways to increase income to the federal treasury. Disadvantages of tax investment. Real estate investments are expensive. Large amounts of capital are usually required even when financing is available. Investing in real estate is difficult without expert advice. Investment decisions must be based on careful study of all facts, reinforced by a thorough knowledge of real estate and how it is affected by the marketplace. Liquidity. Liquidity refers to how quickly an asset may be converted into cash. Unlike stocks and bonds, real estate is not highly liquid over the short term. An investor who holds stocks can easily direct a stockbroker to sell stocks when funds are needed. In contrast, a real estate investor may have to sell property at a substantially lower price than desired to bring about a quick sale. If market values are down, the investor who wants to refinance property to free up cash will have to settle for whatever the lender feels the market dictates. Active management. Real estate requires active management. The investor may choose to personally manage the property or may hire a professional property manager, but management decisions still must be made. If the property has residential or commercial tenants, how much rent should be charged? Is the property and its management in compliance with all federal, state, and local laws? How should repairs and tenant grievances be held? What is the long-term goal of the property owner? Is the property manager working to achieve that goal? Lastly, risk. Despite its popularity, a real estate investment does not guarantee profit. It involves a high degree of risk. The possibility that an investment property will decrease in value or not generate enough income to make it profitable is a factor that the investor must consider. Now that concludes Unit 1 of this book. Next, we will be going into the quiz. Alright, 20 question quiz. A professional opinion of a property's market value based on established methods and using trained judgment is performed by A, a real estate attorney, B, a real estate appraiser, C, a real estate counselor, or D, a home inspector. 2. In general, when the supply of a certain commodity increases, A, price tends to rise, B, price tends to drop, C, demand for it tends to rise, D, demand for it tends to drop. 3. Which factor primarily affects supply in the real estate market? A, population, B, demographics, C, employment, or D, governmental monetary policy? I'm going to go with A, population. Which factor is most likely to influence demand for real estate? A, number of real estate professionals in the area, B, number of full-time real estate professionals in the area, C, wage levels and employment opportunities, or D, price of new homes being built in the area. Property management, appraisal, financing, and development are all examples of A, factors affecting demand, B, specializations within the real estate industry, C, non-real estate professionals, or D, activities requiring broker management and supervision. 6. What type of federal law prohibits discrimination in the provision of housing and house-related services, including lending based on an individual's race, color, national origin, religion, sex, familial status, or disability? A, licensing, B, lot size, C, home ownership, or D, fair housing? 7. A major manufacturer of automobiles announces that it will relocate one of its factories along with 2,000 employees to a small town. What effect will this announcement most likely have on the small town's housing market? A. Houses will likely become less expensive. B. Houses will likely become more expensive. C. Because the announcement involves an issue of demographics, not supply and demand, housing prices will stay the same. Or D. The announcement involves an industrial property, residential housing will not be affected. 8. A real estate professional who has several years of experience in the industry decided to retire from actively marketing properties. Now this person helps clients choose among the various alternatives involved in purchasing, using, or investing in property. What is this person's profession? A. A real estate counselor. B. Real estate appraiser. C. Real estate educator. Or D. Building inspector. 9. Nationwide multi-state licensing system and registry was created to register A. Appraisers. B. Property managers. C. Home inspectors. Or D. Mortgage loan originators. 10. Schools will be considered part of which real estate classification? A. Special purpose. B. Industrial. C. Commercial. Or D. Residential. 11. When demand for a commodity decreases and supply remains the same, A. Price tends to rise. B. Price tends to fall. C. Price is not affected. Or D. The market becomes stagnant. Number 12. The difference between the cost basis of a property and its net selling price is A. Cost recovery. B. Capital gain. C. Leverage. Or D. Appreciation. 13. The use of borrowed money to finance an investment is called A. Appreciation. B. Leverage. C. Depreciation. Or D. Capital gain. 14. All of the following are categories of the uses of real property except for A. Residential. B. Developmental. C. Agricultural. Or D. Industrial. 15. All of the following would affect demand except A. Population. B. Demographics. C. Wage levels. Or D. Monetary policy. 16. All of the following affect how quickly the forces of supply and demand work except A. A property-specific geographic location. B. Immobility of a property. C. Degree of standardization of a property's price. Or D. Uniqueness of a property. 17. A person who performs a visual survey of a property structure and writes a report for the buyer is A. An educator. B. A home inspector. C. An appraiser. Or D. A property manager. 18. Another name for depreciation is A. Cost recovery. B. Leverage. C. Capital gain. Or D. Inflation. 19. A person or company responsible for maintaining a client's property and maximizing the return on the client's investment is serving as A. Rental agent. B. A building maintenance specialist. C. A property manager. Or D. An investment counselor. 20. Detailed information about the age, education, behavior, and the other characteristics of a member of a population group is called A. Population analysis. B. Demographics. C. Family interest. And D. Household data. That concludes the Unit 1 quiz. The answers will be shown. Thank you for taking the time to study with me, and I wish you all of your wildest desires and all of your endeavors. This is Haley B, age 20.